Hello, everyone. Hi. So I'm going to wait a few minutes to make sure that people can sign in. This is me, Alec Frazier, Director of Autistic Reality, and I am celebrating the graduation of the class of 2020. So I can say a few things about myself while we wait for people to sign on. I am, yes, I'm autistic and I have around 15 other disabilities as well. I am the director of Autistic Reality, a disability and human rights firm. The business is based loosely out of the District of Columbia. Hi, everyone. So, I am just waiting for a few more people to sign in, and we will get started. I have some prepared remarks. Um, I would like to mention, hi everyone. I'm just warming up before we get started with the address. Hi everyone. Thank you, Rachel. Um, and this address will start momentarily. I would like to mention that this commencement address is dedicated to my friend Michael Troyer. He is a guy who's kind of had some tough times lately in California. Hi, Patrick. Hi, GD. And so, yeah, this is dedicated to my friend Michael Troyer in California. And he is an awesome guy, a great dad. And I draw some inspiration from him, and I'm wishing him well. Hi, everyone. So I think we're going to get started momentarily. Um, I also wanted to point out that this is congratulations to the classes of 2020 from my alma mater, the State University of New York at Buffalo. And I also both grad and undergrad, and also to whoever graduates from Abide University, where I have 2 doctorates. And I am seeing this, so I'm going to get started. I have some prepared remarks. Forgive me, I might not be able to see the feedback while this happens. And let me get my remarks up. Okay, JD, you'll recognize these. These are what I eventually want to do for my TED Talk. This will be kind of a run for that. Okay, so let's get started. Space. It's the final frontier, isn't it? Hello, I'm Alec Frazier, and I'm here to talk to you about optimism. Now, the main subject of my talk will be optimism, but make no mistake about it, disability is a big part of my life. The goal of this talk will be to use my disabilities, of which there are at least 10, and the history of the American space program to talk about the values of optimism. When the space program began in the late 50s and early 60s, the Russians were beating us in droves. They managed to get the first satellite launched into space, and they also managed to get the first human into orbit, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. And in this parallel, there are a lot of parallels between the Russians and people without disabilities. They had a lot of an easier time than we did from the beginning of it, and they were beating us in the space race by quite a long shot. And of course, people without disabilities tend to have an easier time in beginning life. Early life is difficult for those with disabilities as we become acclimated to living with our circumstances. I myself was born without hip joints, and they're actually made out of the material that was already there. But I spent the first year of my life in body cast, and the next year in traction. Um, there were early attempts to have me institutionalized for life, um, and uh, and I'll come back to that later. The early American space program was similarly not very successful. In fact, there it looks like a bad blooper reel when you watch this online, or when you watch the videos. In fact, you can see one rocket toppling after another. People with disabilities often don't have the height of success early in life. It's almost like training wheels or a bird flying out of a nest. It takes a bit of experience to do so. Um, there are a lot of bullies who are successful in early life, and that was the same for the early Soviet space program. In fact, uh, the Russians were doing everything first, and beating us onto the space program. Meanwhile, I myself was abused, harassed, beaten, even molested by bullies in public school. Um, and so clearly, the American space program and the uh, uh, lives of those with disabilities were very tough from the beginning. And it often reaches a very unfortunate tone. Early in the American space program, the Apollo 1 fire took off, and it burned all of the first three astronauts in our lunar program, because we had made some mistakes in design of the spacecraft. And in fact, uh, people with disabilities are often alone as children and subject to a great deal of bullying and harassment. And there, I am not going to lie, it does seem like like suicide is often uh, 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 considered by those with disabilities, or with who have a tough time in life. Well, if the American space program had quit when we were encountering those first troubles, then we never would have reached our success. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. Um, there just now, I know that this is an uplifting message I'm supposed to give, and I do want to give that uplifting message. However, things often do get worse before they get better. Uh, for an example, we did finally. Yes, you will graduate high school. I do believe in you. Just like the American lunar program reached the moon, and at that point in life, the Russian in the space race, the Russians really should have known that that the space program was over. However, that they weren't going to be successful, that they weren't going to reach the moon. Indeed, they had some of their own problems. The bullies will experience self doubt. Their lives will start stagnating. And indeed, the Russians had their first Soyuz capsule crash landed because they launched it too early, and the Soyuz spacecraft, space station crew also died in outer space. Um, however, uh, just because the bullying the bullies might realize that they are failures does not mean that it will stop immediately. In fact, that may egg them on to become more desperate. So bullying is not necessarily over when high school ends. In fact, some of my toughest bullying with beatings and gay bashings, etc., was in community college. Um, uh, but you must have hope. The Americans kept hope during the space program, and they launched the Skylab space station, and we launched the space shuttle. However, like I said, there are some troubles that will take place. Um, for example, in the American space program, we had the Challenger crash and the Columbia crash. But as I've mentioned, the bullies will stagnate, and their success will end, and they will realize that their lives will not amount to much. The Russians have currently been using the stagnant Soyuz space program for about 50 years. It's going to absolutely nowhere. Um, and meanwhile, the bullies will also stagnate. For example, there are some of the people who have bullied me are stuck in minimum wage jobs because they didn't value academics and they didn't value success. Um, and some of them have befallen professional tragedies. I'm not here to make light of anyone's suffering, so so I'm just saying that like like the Russians, the bullies have gone nowhere in a long time. Meanwhile, the United States has made amazing uh, uh, gains uh, in space exploration, and I myself, you can see I have two diplomas behind me. I have a banner made by a dear friend right up here. Um, I have not one but uh, two action figures. Um, but uh, but I feel that after the life that I've had, I deserve these achievements. Well, the American space program deserves its achievements too. For example, we are going to Mars in my lifetime, in your lifetime, Rachel, probably yours, JD, and yours, John. We're going to Mars by about 2035, and we are literally launching off to interplanetary success. Um, the bullies are stuck where they are in the middle of nowhere. Um, we are, meanwhile, are headed to absolutely amazing, wonderful, great things. So, um, as the late Carl Sagan was fond of pointing out, we are all made of stardust. In our journey to the stars, we are simply going home. I hope that all of you can find the peace, the independence, the optimism to find your home, the place you belong. Thank you. I'm Alec Frazier, and that's the Autistic Reality. JD, how'd I do? Um, I know I need to work on saying less ums and likes and things like that, but there, but there is a story to tell here. All of you students out there, the UB classes of 2020, Michael Troyer, all of you, I have absolute unshakable faith in you that you will engage in great, wonderful things, that you will reach the stars, that you will go to Mars. When I was in second grade, um, there was a school staffed by some rather close-minded people, and they tried to have me institutionalized for the rest of my life. And we fought. I fought. My parents fought. People who loved me fought. My brother fought. The professionals who appreciated me fought. And now I am me. I'm successful at what I do. And you all have the potential, the courage, the audacity to engage in your success. And you all will. I have the faith in you. You're amazing people, the class of 2020. I appreciate you for engaging in your wonderful efforts. Thank you. Good night and good luck. This is Autistic Reality signing out.